pre-industrial era was the time of mercantilism, when a nation produces more exports than imports. During this time, early colonies would work with a mother country to manufacture goods and increase the amount of money coming into the nation. While they both helped shape the pre-industrial era, they both had disadvantages as well. Colonies would supply the raw material and be given finished products, but they also lost money for the raw materials as the finished product had a greater value. The mother country would then make a great profit, but could not perform their work unless they were supplied with the materials from colonies. Later on, competition arose as colonists wanted to manufacture their own goods in return for a great profit. Colonies were made up of political and cultural societies who worked together to create early jobs and tasks. Differentiating between the North and the South would be easy, as each had their own way of living. The North colonies at the time would contain 4 major sectors: occupations, lifestyles, government, and the labor force. The town's population would attend church, as it was centered around God and Christianity, leaving us to believe that the North was very religious. The community was based around their church and meeting house, where general court would take place. Earning more money would come from their cash crop, corn, and finding work in the North would be easy because they had a wide variety of common occupations, some including fishing, shipbuilding, trade, farming, raising livestock, logging, and whaling were everyday jobs done by the people of the town. They did not own slaves, and the work was done by artisans, the colonists, and farmers. Harder work was to be done by the men of the community, and women would stay home to tend to the family and their house. The South had things differently. Farming, harvesting, and livestock were the main occupations. Indentured servants and trained slaves did the work, while plantation owners earned a profit. The South also earned their money from their cash crops of sugarcane, tobacco, indigo, and rice. During this time, plantations were where the slaves and their owners lived and worked. From the plantations, the town would revolve around meeting houses, where the local militia and court would hold meetings. The needs of industrialization are to build the foundation for settlers to build upon, using trade and making the products they needed to survive. The Industrialization Era was a very important time for the United States. This was a time where inventions were being created, along with unions, strikes, and the laissez-faire government. The main inventions at the time were the steel plow, invented by John Deere in 1837, the telegraph, by Samuel Morse in 1837, the telephone, invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876, and the light bulb by Thomas Edison, dated in 1878. They were corrupted businesses, followed by another big factor of the industrialization revolution, including unions, which fought for workers' rights, like their minimum wage and work hours, and railroads, which impacted the transportation of goods for the better. The government was very laissez-faire during this time and didn't enforce rules or regulations for businesses. There were 3 major strikes during this era that caught the attention for change. The Mccormick Harvester Strike in 1886, that began as a peaceful strike in support for shorter workdays. An anonymous person then threw a bomb, resulting in several deaths. The Pullman Strike of 1884, regarding the national railroad system, would send management to bring in federal troops, and the Homestead Strike that happened in 1892, which required an industrial lockdown between the Carnegie Steel Factory and the steelworkers. Lastly, there were family contracts, which stated if one member of the family was not able to work due to getting fired or injured, etc., the whole family was in jeopardy of getting expelled from the company. The effects of industrialization can be good and both bad. It means that many jobs were created and people were getting paid, but along with this, they were forced to work in terrible conditions where many people got hurt or even died on the job. With industrialization happening all over the world leadership would come into play. Industrialization helps a developing nation become a world leader by the income of money to the economy. The countries creating their own product to use, which then allows them to possibly dominate other countries at the time, creating a world leader. Later industrialization had a lot to do with big business and immigration. There are ruthless businessmen, Andrew Carnegie and John Rockefeller. These two figured out how to increase their profit over time and created sneaky solutions to get their money quicker. John Rockefeller ran an oil business and Andrew Carnegie a steel business. Rockefeller had created a monopoly by also running pipelines and oil refineries, as well as his own business. Carnegie did the same by running the transportation through the Great Lakes and his steel companies. In turn, these both created a pretty well-off profit for themselves. Old immigration occurred during the 1830s through the 1880s. Immigrants were coming from Western Europe, countries like Ireland, Germany, and China. Immigrants from Germany settled in western states, while those from Ireland settled in eastern cities. They left their home countries due to the Great Potato Famine, crop failures, political persecution, and to seek religious freedom. New immigration occurred from 1885 through the 1920s. The immigrants during this time came from southern and central Europe, countries like Russia, Italy, Poland, Austria, Greece, and Spain. They settled in big cities where they could find their ethnic neighborhoods. These immigrants left their home countries for many different reasons, some including famine, persecution for both their religious and political views, as well as war. What the immigrants didn't realize was that America also caused problems for them, such as nativism, discrimination, religious differences, strikes, and the list continues on. We refer to this time as the Gilded Age, when America was meant to look shiny and new, but on the inside wasn't as great as it seemed.